Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. So, in this week's Torah portion, Jacob blesses Ephraim and Manasseh, his grandchildren. And he says all Jewish children should be blessed to be like you. And that's why every Friday night at the Shabbat dinner, we bless our children, our boys, to be like Ephraim and Manasseh. And the question is, why Ephraim and Manasseh? And there are many answers given. One answer, for example, is that they're the first Jewish children to grow up in exile and maintain their Jewish identity. And therefore our blessing to our children is, may you be like Ephraim and Manasseh, that you should always be proud Jews and maintain your Jewish heritage no matter where in the world you find yourself. Another answer given is that Ephraim and Manasseh were the first siblings in the Torah that loved each other and there was no rivalry. And therefore our blessing is, may you be like Ephraim and Manasseh, may there always be love between you. But another beautiful answer given is that the blessing that Jacob gives Ephraim and Manasseh is the only example of the Torah of a grandparent blessing grandchildren. And therefore the Torah is teaching us something very important, that the relationship of a grandparent and a grandchild is a very special relationship. Because sometimes parents and children could have conflicts. There are expectations that parents have of children, and sometimes there could be disappointment, or vice versa. Children could sometimes have whatever issues they have with their parents. But the grandchild-grandparent relationship is usually never fraught with any conflict or struggle. And therefore the Torah says this is a very special opportunity that grandparents have. The Talmud tells a story that Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, a great sage, was once in the bathhouse on Friday. And he remembered that he had not reviewed the weekly Torah portion with his grandson. And so he left the bathhouse to go learn Torah with his grandson. And someone said to him, why are you leaving the bathhouse? Why can't you finish and then go learn? And he quoted the verse that says, you should teach your children's children the day you stood about the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. And therefore, he says, what the Torah is teaching us is that whoever learns Torah with their grandchildren, it's as though they received it from Mount Sinai. This is a time of year that many people in Palm Beach have their grandchildren visiting. And they think about, what can I do with my grandchildren? I'll take them swimming today, I'll play tennis with them, maybe a little golf, maybe take them to the park. But it's important to also think, if I have my grandchildren with me during this vacation week, how could I learn a little Torah with them? How could I take them to the synagogue? How could they give them a Shabbat dinner? How can I imbue it within them the love of Yiddishkeit? And that is more important and more everlasting and will be more memorable to them, a Kiddush on Friday night or going to pray together with their grandparents, than the other things you may do with them. There's a verse in the book of Psalms where King David says, Ure'ei vanim lebanecha, if you see children to your children, Shalom al Yisrael, there's peace on Israel. Meaning to say that it's through the children that we achieve peace. And the question is, why is it through grandchildren that we achieve peace? And the answer is that those who think about the grandchildren are thinking about the future. When you think about the future, you're thinking about peace. You want a world that's peaceful. Because if you think about the past, you hold on to the hurts and the pain, and you don't think about the future. And if you want the future to be peaceful, then you're thinking about your descendants. How can I make the world better for my children's children? Last week in Israel, there was a great-grandmother who once again inspired all of Israel and the Jewish people. Yafa Adar, 85-year-old mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother with 7 great-grandchildren. And she was abducted on October 7th by Hamas terrorists. And there's a famous picture of her being driven off in a golf cart with 3 armed terrorists with machine guns over her as she was taken into captivity. And she sat there in the front seat of the golf cart with her head up high with a grin on her face. And people asked her grandchildren, does your mother have dementia? Your grandmother have dementia? Because she doesn't seem to realize that she's being abducted into captivity. And they said, no, she's fully clear-minded. But she is holding herself strong and not giving the terrorists the victory of defeating her. She's showing them her strength. And that image alone gave tremendous strength and courage to all of Israel. If an 85-year-old grandmother would not bow, would stand tall and proud and not show any fear in the light of 3 terrorists with machine guns taking her into Gaza. Well, after 49 days, 7 weeks in captivity, she was released last week. And when she was interviewed, they spoke to her about her days in captivity. And she said, I would never cry. I was always strong. I wanted my children, my grandchildren to be proud of me, she said. And then she talked about her daily routine. She loves the music of Andrea Bocelli. And she would start every day by singing from memory many of his beautiful songs to give her strength. And then she would pray to God and say, God, may today be a good day. May today be the day of my release. Well, this interview went viral. And it came to Andrea Bocelli. And he was so touched by what this 85-year-old grandmother, great-grandmother, Andrea Yafa Adar, said, that he sent her a letter. There's a video of her granddaughter bringing her the letter and reading it to her. And Andrea Bocelli says to Yafa Adar, I was so moved by your interview to know that I was there with you in captivity, you giving you strength in that darkest of moments. And he says to her, I want you to know that you have renewed my enthusiasm to sing and to continue to inspire, because your letter moved me so much to know that the impact of my voice was able to help you in those darkest moments, that I had the merit of being a source of strength for you in captivity. And he goes on to say in the letter that there's no honor, no award, no applause I could ever get that'll be greater than knowing that I was a source of strength for you in captivity. Then Andrea Bocelli goes on in the letter to say to Yafa Adar, I wish I could hug you. I hug you from afar, but one day I hope to see you and hug you. And he says, I want to invite you to come to be with me, to join any of my concerts. I'll be honored to have you as a guest. And he said, whether you come to a public concert or a private concert, I would be honored to sing for you. And when the granddaughter reads the letter, Andrea Bocelli's letter to her, Yafa Adar says, I can't believe it. I'm holding a letter from Andrea Bocelli. And she kisses the letter and puts it close to her heart. And she said, this is one of the greatest honors to be able to get this letter from Andrea Bocelli. Here is a woman, 85 years old, and she taught all of us what it means to live with strength, with courage, with faith, with dignity. Never to cower, never to live in fear, but to wake up every morning with a song on our lips, with a prayer on our lips, no matter how difficult and dark the circumstances are. And this is the blessing that Jacob gives his grandchildren, that's repeated every Friday night in every Jewish home. We have so much to learn from our parents, and so much to learn from our grandparents and great-grandparents. And the relationship between grandparents and grandchildren is what is celebrated every Friday night in Jewish homes. Have a wonderful day.